Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hotline League again on a Tuesday afternoon because Mark's flight was delayed. I knew we would not be doing it Monday night, and so I didn't even tweet it out
What the hell?
yesterday because Mark was like, "Oh yeah, we'll definitely do it Monday night. I'll get back. Everything will be fine. I won't be tired. I won't be jet lagged, etc., etc." And sure enough, you couldn't do it. Oh, he's getting a phone call right now. Like, look, this show's gonna be more scuffed than MSI. Shout out while Mark is on the phone at the start of this.
Sorry, I just legit got a. This is the only time everyone ever needs help getting into my building. There was a delivery for Ashley, and they were like, "Can you buzz me in?" I was like, "Sure."
Yeah.
I never need to do that, but okay.
Thank you to Grubhub and Alienware for sponsoring the show. Mark, you're back.
I'm back.
How was it?
It happened.
Be careful what you wish for is, I guess, the way I know in the past you wanted to do more
no.
international events, and then
No, I'm kidding. I was very happy to go. I had a really good time. I liked casting the games. I like seeing the you guys. I haven't seen Dracos in years. Dracos and I, as Ashley puts it, he's my European boyfriend. So we were just like hanging out, playing couch co-op games, like in our free time and stuff. I liked casting with him and Vedius and stuff, seeing Medic and all the guys. I had a good time there. Nice. I did get a little sick of being in Berlin after a week and a half. Yeah. But that was, I think, exacerbated by the fact that I flew so much recently. I don't think I would have felt that way if I hadn't just like done Houston to Portugal, back to LA for 4 days, back to like Berlin, like all that. I think made it way worse.
Yeah, I imagine. Well, I'm glad you had a good time. I've heard from a lot of people that doing we've seen Captain Flyers, for instance, like duck out of this event or whatever, and so my understanding is that it's not the most fun way to do an international event, flying to Germany to do something that's happening in Korea when you live in Los Angeles. It's a little goofy, so I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. What
are we gonna? Did you see all the memes about like what this episode
list of everything you've been watching, right?
Yeah. So across all these flights, I have watched probably like 8 or 9 movies.
Okay.
I can't even remember everything I watched, but I watched American Underdog, Julia, not the new movie, but the documentary, I think. House of Gucci, The Last Duel, King Richard. I tried to watch The Sound of Metal. God, like I would have to actually like write down everything I watched. I've watched so many.
On like the seat back of the thing, or were you watching them on your laptop? Okay. I'm always a little worried about reviewing a movie that I see because they edit scenes out and stuff like that, you know.
Usually it'll say like edited or unedited.
Yeah.
I don't know which ones were though. I think most of them were relatively unedited. So like I think the other thing that happens on a flight is that it really skews your perception of like pacing issues, because everyone says House of Gucci was so bad and they talk about like how long it was, but when you're on a 12-hour flight, you don't really give a fuck, you know. So like that didn't bother me about House of Gucci. I didn't know the story. The story is crazy. The acting is hilariously bad, but it's so bad it wraps around to being enjoyable again. Have you seen it?
No. I mean, I did. Again, I didn't hear good things about it, so I wasn't going to watch it.
I would say watch
Adam Driver bad in it?
Adam Driver's okay, and like the thing is, none of them have Italian accents, but they're all trying. And Lady Gaga is a great actress, but she just sounds Russian.
Okay.
And fucking Jared Leto's the best. He's in like a fat suit. He's like got a bald cap on, and he's like, he thinks he's doing a live action Mario or something. He's like, "Oh, wow, we want the clothing. It's so nice." And you're like, what the fuck are you doing, Jared Leto? And it's so bad. It's amazing because no one else is on that energy level. Everyone else is trying hard, and he's just like full sending it. It's so good.
That's wild. Okay. Any good movies?
Okay, so Julia, I did not know who the fuck Julia Child was. That documentary was really cool. They had like snippets of their journals, of her and her husband's journals. So like it was cool seeing. Do you know who Julia Child is?
Yeah.
I guess I'm the only person who had no clue who this woman was.
Really? She's like the original cooking person.
Yeah, she like launched not only what became modern cookbooks, but also was like the first cooking show ever.
Yeah.
And like basically reinvented American cuisine as well as pop culture. It's actually insane how influential she was.
That's why I'm surprised you didn't know about her.
Yeah, no idea. As well as like just being a cool human being with a cool life, like, so like this was cool to get that insight on her and her relationship with her husband and stuff. That was cool. I would recommend that one highly if you don't know anything about her. After that, I didn't really love any of the movies I watched. Funnily enough, I think I enjoyed.
Described as, or none of the movies you listed were ones I've wanted to see. So,
I think that's why I hadn't seen any of them. I'm a very active moviegoer. I go to movies like once or twice, almost every other week. And so if something gets past me, it's because I really didn't want to watch it.
Right.
So I just binged through all those. American Underdog might have been the worst one. Sound of Metal is the only one I actually didn't finish, but that was more because like it was like a pretty serious movie, and like it's handling deaf people and deaf communities, but also it does like things with sound to like, because the guy's going deaf.
Sure.
And on a shitty headset, like it just like didn't. Like, you would think that in a movie about deaf people with shitty sound, it wouldn't matter, but in some ways it was even more important because what they were trying to do with the sound effects was like just like like a high pitched ringing in my ear that I'm like, is that supposed to be what he's hearing because he's going deaf, or is this just like I just couldn't get through it?
Yeah.
So I want to do a tier list of all the movies I've seen, and I also want to do a tier list of airports I've been through now.
I am sad that, like, I was really hoping that you would have watched something that I would have been excited. Like, normally when I ask you what you've been watching lately, you have something that is interesting to me, or I don't know, you've been playing a game that's fun or something like that. None of this was interesting to me. It's all terrible.
Well, I can't remember if there's any. I mean, you don't like sports movies. Dude, the Kurt Warner one was so fucking bad. It wasn't even a sports movie. It was a fucking romance movie. It was just totally misdiagnosed of like what it was trying to be. That movie sucked. I mean, people liked it, but I think they liked it because they might have been wanting to go in for a sports movie. I thought it was going to be a sports movie. It was terrible.
Wow.
I just don't think I watched any. Like, you don't really watch that many movies.
I mean, I do.
You?
But nothing.
Well, you watch like Marvel.
No, this is a miss.
What do you watch?
What's the last thing I watched? The last thing I did watch was Marvel because it was Doctor Strange, which just came out. But
yeah, I need to watch that this weekend.
Yeah, that one. You don't have lower your expectations.
It's a Sam Raimi movie, so
I don't know how they let him direct another superhero movie. Is what I will say. I think Ashley will like it because it's like 90s goofy horror, but boy, was it. I did not think it was particularly good. A big disappointment, I think, is the way that I would describe it. Okay.
But like, what do you like for movies? You don't like horror. I don't think you like.
There's a lot of indie
sports movies
that I like. Like I like
romance.
A20. What is it?
A24 does a lot of horror though, so you don't like.
Yeah, I know they started. They didn't used to do horror, and now they've done a ton because I think like they've just realized that they can do. There's not too many people that are doing like kind of like the low budget indie horror stuff, so I feel like they've just realized that they can occupy that space.
Yeah.
What have I seen recently? I don't know. It's hard on the spot to think about what I've seen recently, but I don't know. There's a bunch that I want to go through and see. Sam's gone, so I'm just sort of sitting, or Kobe's gone, so I'm just sort of sitting at home.
Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? Someone in chat
no,
just threw it out there.
I haven't been in the. So what I understand, I really do want to see that because I really like her, and I like that type of stuff, etc. But I've heard everyone's crying during it, and I've not been in the place lately where I've wanted to cry. So, Anyway,
dude, the Morbius memes are great.
Yeah, that staying away from anything like that. I finished a couple things recently. I finished Picard on Paramount Plus. I finished Moon Knight 2 days ago, and then I have started Barry season 3. And
yes,
Barry
I was gonna say,
is so good. And
I love it.
it's so good. I love Bill Hader, and it's amazing to see him do this. You know what I mean? Because we're also used to him being like Stefan from SNL or whatever. So you watch Barry, and you're just like, this is mind blowing, and it is a little special too. Living in Los Angeles, I feel like it's kind of cool because they do a good job of embracing like the LA vibes, I guess.
Yeah, there'll be an alleyway, and I'll be like, "Have I been in that alleyway?
Yeah,
That looks
yeah,
like so many
exactly.
Santa Monica alleyways."
Yes, yeah, 100%. All right. Well,
One final thing: if you
okay.
need a feels good show, and I know you don't like anime, Spy Family is so fucking cute
Isn't
and
it Spy
funny.
X Family or something?
People always say the X's in titles for Japanese shows, but you're not supposed to. Like
Okay.
Hunter x Hunter is supposed to be Hunter x Hunter, and Spy Family is supposed to be Spy Family.
Yeah, everybody's been
Um,
tweeting about that. Like my Instagram stories are just all, oh
it's a
my
very
god.
easy anime to get into. It doesn't do any of the usual like gross anime shit. Like there's nothing gross about it. It's just a funny show.
The only anime that I've watched in the past year or so was Arcane.
This is just like Arcane.
Okay, anyway. I really that was great because I expected you to give me one reaction and then you just leaned into it, which was very funny. All right. Let's
I'm gonna go take some Advil. My back's getting worse as I sit in this chair.
oh my gosh. Okay.
Dude, my back feels like it's gonna
Do you
fucking.
need do you need
Do you
don't
see?
have
Do
like
you ever
standing
watch
desk or
Old?
something?
Do you,
No.
well, you don't care, right? It's fucking Old by M Night Shyamalan. You're not gonna watch it.
We don't no spoilers. Look, we have a bunch of people that watch us. You always try to spoil shit for our
Some
massive
lady
audience.
back breaks. The end.
Backstory is a
That's
COVID
what it feels
symptom.
like.
Uh-oh. All right, Twitch chat. We're going to actually talk about League of Legends esports, I promise, but this people wanted the first 15 minutes. Don January says, Travis, I'm not going to lie, this is a terrible time to do a show. That's the whole, we have to do it at this point in time because we couldn't do it last night. This is the way it works. MSI pushes stuff around. We'll be back on the regular schedule soon. All right, I have to just fill time while Mark is gone, and he's back. Okay, thank God. Okay, Mark, let's talk about MSI.
What's there to talk about?
Well, I'm just curious. What was it like being on the ship while it was sinking?
What ship was sinking? The NA ship, you mean?
No, MSI.
What do you
It's
mean?
very funny
MSI
because
was
I
great.
titled the stream MSI Drama-llama Hotline League, and people are like, "There's drama at MSI." I'm like, "This." That's
Well,
how
yeah,
I know. That's how I know North America has been sleeping, because they don't even know that this
what
is
drama are
probably
you talking about, my good sir?
which.
Are you talking about the format? Are you talking about the ping issues? Are you talking about the LPL and LCK fans just being racist to each other everywhere online? Are you talking about
Games having to be
NA going
remade.
0-4? Yeah, the remakes. Like, what are you?
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
my point exactly. Uh,
When people ask what drama, they're not asking.
no.
Tell me,
People are
tell me about.
saying
They're
like
asking which
there's
drama.
drama, or like did I miss the drama?
Yeah.
Like people are not.
No. I know. I'm
Yeah.
kidding. What they mean to be saying is which drama. This is
Yes.
what they should be asking.
So, is this the worst international event since Worlds Season 2?
On a technical level, I think you could say so.
I mean,
think
I
there
don't
might
even know
have-
if there's any on a. I mean, obviously, I guess
Well, actually, yeah. What level would you say it's succeeding on right now? The games have not been interesting. Nothing has been close.
I have not enjoyed MSI. Like, I will say that here. Like, I am not having a good time watching MSI. I don't want to watch this MSI. I'm more excited. I'm more excited now that we're getting into Rumble. Like, I do
You know what?
think that will be cool, but yeah.
It's too early to title this, but you could make the case that thus far it's the worst Riot tournament ever. Maybe like some All Stars you could say are worse, but at least of like the MSI and Worlds.
Yeah.
Season 2 Worlds, while it had like that horrible 12-hour delay into like playing the games a later day, it was still kind of like the scrappy beginnings, and people kind of enjoyed it almost. And it was also like the rest of the tournament was good. Whereas like right now, like you said, MSI has not succeeded on any level other than like you could argue viewership is probably up because you're making China and Korea play early in the tournament.
Yeah,
But
we don't even know.
they were doing that last year too.
Maybe viewership's up because you're making China play more games than anybody else.
Yeah, technically, that's the secret. Make China play.
Oops, everyone! The Chinese team has to play 3 more games.
Whoops!
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it'll be worth tracking that. But by the end of the tournament, you can maybe make the case that this is the worst Riot event ever.
Yeah. Like major international.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's like random, I'm sure some like one of the smaller regions has probably had like a terrible.
Oh, I'm sure there are worse, like IMs or whatever.
Yeah.
But at least like this one feels really bad. There was Jet and I talked about like trying to make a new format. We were going to do a bunch more JLXPs.
There's a Reddit thread.
Yeah, we got a Reddit thread about it. I felt bad. We baited everyone to be like, we're going to be doing these after every show. And then like one day we had to like realize we weren't allowed to do them at the Riot because we were doing them right from the Riot venue. But it's like we were keeping security guards there and we didn't know that. And they're like, yeah, can you guys not do that? And we're like, oh, our bad. So then we didn't do it that day. Then we did it one day again. Then he got sick. So we just baited everyone into like, yeah, we're going to do these after MSI every day.
Yeah.
But we did talk about the format a lot too. So I assume there'll be a lot of callers. I will say, I don't want to go too hard on the format this episode. I don't know how you feel like on callers about that.
I mean, we can take 1 or 2, but there's so much to talk about in this episode that I don't think that we can do an entire episode about the format. Like,
yeah,
I will just say, I cannot think of enough. There's been times where I will admit there have been times where I've been like, oh God, like I get excited for Worlds on a fan level, but I'll be like, oh, I don't want to travel, or especially during the last couple years where I've been having to switch schedules and all this stuff. It's been like, oh man, it's like tough to like switch schedule, and so I won't look forward to it on a like professional level. I guess is how to maybe a personal. I don't know how to describe it. People can probably figure out what I mean, but this is the first time where I've ever just been like, I don't want to be covering this event. You know what I mean? Like I just am not like I've done far less interviews this stage than I normally do because I'm just like not. I basically was like, I'm only going to interview Group C, and I'll interview the other teams later on. But like, I also don't think my audience is particularly interested in teams that are not going to be making it into Rumble. So I just was like, I'll cover it when it gets to Rumble. So I haven't watched all the games, and it's just not good. It's not a good, compelling. There's not good content here. Even like the rabid fans who are like, I don't care. I'll watch anything. Like I just don't. Ugh.
Yeah, like what's the primary narrative coming out of group stage right now? Or out of groups.
It's a 3-team. I think the primary narrative is who's the best between T1 RNG and G2, almost certainly T1, but I guess we'll find out,
But wouldn't that have been the narrative even if you didn't play these games? Yeah. So the only narrative that you have is the fucking same narrative you would have had coming into the tournament without playing this like stage.
I guess you can be interested about Saigon Buffalo, that's people are kind of excited about them and the fact that they're good and having them back. But yeah, I don't know. And again, we're looking at it from the perspective of North American viewers, so I'm sure that there are some of these wild cards. Just saying get rid of groups is not a reasonable thing because you don't know what that means for the teams that didn't make it out of groups. But yeah. It's just.
I'm glad the Saigon Buffalo did well. I was aboard their hype train. I was glad to have gotten that one right. A lot of people were like the DFM hype train, but I was like, no, I think Saigon's going to do it.
Yeah.
So Saigon getting out was cool as the VCS second seed. That was really hype. So I've got a couple callers on some minor things, but there's still other things to talk about. Things
to talk about this episode. Obviously, all the MSI drama, remade games, format, the teams that are here, any of that stuff. I think we can talk about Rumble. The big thing. Let me click on schedule. All right, I'm sure you're aware of this, right, Mark? If you go to lolesports.com/schedule,
Oh
there's
my
this.
God, it's the classic Travis complaint. Here we go.
You say it's the classic Travis complaint.
Is it not?
Do you know about you? You've missed this maybe because you've been traveling. There's been Reddit threads about it. Cadril was memeing about it. Go to lolesports.com/schedule. There's no future scheduled matches.
Oh, they're not even have like the TBDs listed.
No, they don't even have the TBDs.
Oh, okay. So I went on the MS. I was looking at this last night. I didn't even try to go. I don't even use, like, who uses LOL esports site? It's so fucking bad. I used the Leaguepedia site, and that had TBDs, but at least had at least I knew, oh, Friday morning is the next time I'll need to like wake up early.
Right. But think about, like, you're thinking about it from your perspective of you're gonna watch all these games because you're gonna be talking about them on a bunch of different content and all that stuff. You're gonna be doing play.
Yeah. But like
think
for
about
fans,
it from like the EG or G2 fan perspective. Like, they're trying to decide if they want to watch this stuff live. Are they supposed to be like, when are their games playing? Like, there's probably a lot of like, and who do they play? You know what I mean? Like, do you care if you're gonna watch your team play against like somebody they're expected to beat? I don't like. It's just crazy to me because
is it like, is EG G2 playing again first start of the day so West Coast fans can stay up, or is it end of the day and you wake up early? Like, what is?
Yeah, and who are they playing? Like, maybe you don't care as much about watching G2 versus Saigon, but maybe you do want to watch G2 versus T1. And it's wild to me. And again, like, I know you meme about, yeah, lol, esports.com sucks, so just go to like Leaguepedia or whatever. But there are a lot of casual fans. A lot of casual fans, and maybe they're not going to be staying up late anyway, but maybe they're in Europe or maybe they're on the East Coast or something, and so it's not as painful for them. And so you just go and you're like, is MSI fucking canceled? No future scheduled matches. Like, they just
MSI's done. Did you guys not see the end? They handed RNG the crown. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree that we are very biased about who we think the league fan is. Like, people in Twitch chat, you guys are the tryhards. You are not the like normal league fan who are much more casual.
Yeah.
Who like see that the game is on, like, oh, I guess I'll watch, or
wait, John Skovik in chat says the league client literally has a button that says see full schedule, and it leads to that blank page with no future scheduled matches.
Oh no.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah. We should go on a walk this week. I got a lot of stuff to talk to you about.
Yeah.
It was nice talking to the European guys. I'll say that.
We'll talk. Okay. Yeah, go get tested so that we can be sure.
Yeah.
I have a rapid test if you need one.
You want to just yeet that at me?
Yeah. I'll do that after the show.
Yeah, that sounds easy.
Okay.
Trying to book one.
I guess we can talk about if people want to talk about stuff more close to home, because I think I said this last year, but I'm worried that like North American fans have just tuned out of this event now. And so if we do want to talk about stuff that's not just MSI, we can talk about the Cloud9 roster, which has gotten revealed, and they did a video today talking about how it was formed and all that stuff. So maybe we can do that.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I haven't watched that video yet, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, I don't think it's anything too crazy.
Durability patch. Travis won't have anything to add to that.
Golden Guardian starting Stixay and LCS. I heard that. And
Coach promoting himself.
Yeah, the classic.
I'm
waiting for Dardoch to start on Immortals.
Yeah, if there's any like just NA topics for the offseason, I mean, I don't mind grabbing them. I think there is enough to talk about with just MSI, but it's a low show in terms of people in the channel right now. I understand it might be hard to call in if you're working. Normally at night, at least everyone watching probably isn't doing anything else, where now we might be second monitor at school or things like that. Here, I'm spamming the Discord in Twitch chat, so go ahead and join up if you want. We only got a couple callers pulled right now. People are still typing. We don't really have a ping take yet, but I don't know if people are going to have one. But go ahead, join up in the Discord. You all know the spiel. Pleb calls 2, join. Topic up above. if I like topic, you get pulled.
Yeah,
Yada
we've
yada
only
yada.
gotten probably 8 or 9 takes in the chat, in
And a lot of them are
topic
like
so
the
far.
same topic, and I'm not going to
Yeah,
pull 5 people about the same topic. Pull one or
yeah.
two.
So, please feel free. This is a good time to get on the show because, again, we're doing it at an odd time, and we didn't have a great amount of lead time to announce it or anything like that. So, it just
Yeah.
makes sense that there's less folks on. But this is for all the people who already show up in the VOD and are like, wow, they always pull the same people or whatever. Wow, they did. Go take a look at the takes, folks, because
Well, and
they're in Discord. You can go look.
the funny thing is, it probably will be the same people on this episode because it's the super fans who
Yeah,
are randomly showing up at 1:30 on a Tuesday
yeah,
unannounced.
yeah, exactly. So either way, we'll get
Anyways,
into all that. Yeah. Do you want to go
you want to
grab
get the
something?
first caller?
Sure. All right. We've gotten a ton of subs since the start of the show, so thank you to Iari, core user Twitch, Penguin Buddy, Jordan, Gengarifith, X Myri, Chimera, Elmo, Yesshua, Defitch, Max Drixton, Papyr, Diwali, Evelyn Nest, Manja Hall. Oh, you know what's interesting is that I'm getting. Do you guys hear Mark ever? Because he's talking in the Skype, and for some reason I can hear it. Okay.
Wait, you can hear me in Skype?
Yeah, I think I had Skype going out my headphones. So when you switched channels, I heard your voice coming through the headphones. And
But I'm muted on Skype. What the hell?
I don't think you are. Yeah.
It says microphone muted on Skype. I'm looking at it.
Anyway,
Lol.
our first caller of the day is here. It's Michael. Where are you calling from? Michael, where are you calling from? Michael. Mark?
This is just what we needed. Hold on. Let me.
I'll read off some more names. D. Fitch, thank you for the 18 months. Tier 2, thanks. Max Drixton, Papyr, Diwali, Evelyn Nest, Monge Hall, Son of Kill.
I'm going to disconnect him and kick him out and have him join, hopefully.
So Jeff, Azyez, and Low Poly. So it was working on the other channel, I guess?
I was literally talking to him, and I was like, "Oh, your microphone sounds a little muffled. Are you good? You know, like I hope guys, if you."
He says, "Can you add me straight to the channel?"
I see that.
You need to join the channel first.
Yeah, join a channel.
I love
Michael.
the people who think that we could just if they're just in the Discord server, we could just activate their microphone and headset and pull them.
That'd be fucking terrifying. If someone could just pull you into calls.
Yeah.
Oh no. Go ahead and join one. Mike, we'll try again. But if I ever say your microphone doesn't sound good, but you're up next, like we'd rather have you working right away than try to just do a last minute fix and then break your microphone. Yeah. A somewhat scuffed mic is better than a non-working one. All right, there he is.
Yeah.
Hello,
Michael. Oh, we got some sign live.
We got some static.
Are you there?
Hey, all right, Michael. What's your take?
Michael, where are you calling from?
Middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. Okay, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I just want to talk about the MSI format. In my opinion, it's fine as it is. People are kind of blaming the format for external circumstances, I guess.
Why is it fine as it is?
A couple of reasons. I think it's important for your middle of the season international event to be pretty fast paced because teams are doing stuff for summer split. It also gives minor regions a chance to show off internationally, I guess, even if that showing off isn't particularly impressive. It's just like a faster paced, more volatile format that works for a middle of the season international event. Whereas I think the actual big format changes need to be pointed more towards Worlds.
I mean, I'm a little surprised to hear you say that you think this is faster paced because there's been 6 days of games and they felt like a drag to me. Like I would not describe what just happened as like a faster paced event. Like a faster paced event in my mind is like a week or 10 days, you know?
Well, also a fast-paced event would, once it has determined the information, move on quickly. Like, okay, T1 went 3-0, just fucking don't make them play the rest of their games. You know, like you can set up things in such a way that the faster someone proves themselves, then they move on or they get dropped out. Versus like, you know, we played a lot of irrelevant games. We played a ton of games that had no impact on the schedule or the standing.
When it's determined, you can just cut it off and move on. I think it is important that games don't need to have stakes to be entertainment too.
You're saying like you don't think you need to have stakes for a game to be entertaining?
Right. I think that's just like that's kind of like a forced point, in my opinion.
I don't know.
I think
go ahead.
I was gonna say in a tournament, I think they do or they should have stakes, and I think you can make the case that like a show match between two top teams can be fun, or a show match that doesn't matter. It's just one, and it's like, oh, we're out of the tournament anyways. Let's troll picks. Can be fun, but not so when like on your last 3 days, like almost half your games don't matter.
Yeah, in a purely competitive tournament, yes, every game should matter. But I don't think the point of MSI is to say these are the 12 best teams in the world and they're going to duke it out to see who the best team is. Because if that were the case, we'd be playing best of 3s or best of 5s every single time. And
well, I think that's where I disagree, because that's how Riot positions it. They're like, these are the best teams in the world, and watch and take notes. Like they literally put it in the branding.
Not have fun. Take notes. This is serious fucking business, guys.
Yeah. So that's where I disagree. Like, if this was All Stars, then yes, I would agree with you that like it's not being positioned as these are the best or whatever. But here, I feel like they really do try to position it that way. And maybe the argument should be that they shouldn't for MSI.
No,
maybe there's like. Go ahead, Mark.
I mean, so the other thing I'll say, Michael, is that we don't have a lot of games between regions. Like there's just not that many. We have 2 tournaments, you know, and it feels bad to have low stakes games that don't matter. When you have a bad format and also extremely limited amount of tournaments, it feels extra bad, I'd say. For fans of games where you watch your top teams go against each other every month, you know, like some shooters or fighting games and stuff like that, then yeah, have some more fun, have some more show matches, do whatever. But like in a situation like this where you get 2 tournaments a year, you kind of want the stakes to be there, because there's not many other times. Like there's not really that many games.
Well, I'm not saying that MSI is 0 stakes. Like it's still an international event. It's just that I think we should be focusing the format fixes on Worlds, and Riot should probably put more money into making Worlds the most competitive format possible, and just leave MSI as sort of like a teaser almost for Worlds of the same year.
I feel like that's a false dichotomy. Like you can improve both MSI and Worlds, right? It's not like Riot's like, well, it would cost us another $50,000 to like make Worlds better, and we want to like put that $50,000 to make MSI better, and we want to put that $50,000 towards Worlds. It's like there are changes that can be made to make this event better without like minimizing Worlds. Now, I will say, I want, to your credit, there's discussion to be had about, hey, if you to your credit, I do think Riot has leaned heavily on making MSI feel like a very limited event to try to make Worlds feel more valuable. Like, we're only going to have one of these teams from each region, because if you start to have more, then like, does that mean that MSI, like, they want Worlds to feel very, very big, very important, very whatever, and this is just the checkpoint. And it's been very clear that they've done that. I would argue they've done it to the extent that you now have teams that don't even want to go to MSI, right? I don't know if they ever put out an official statement, but it seems to be that there's a general belief that RNG was like down to skip this event. That is like not great. That's not a great sign. Now, obviously there's extenuating circumstances there, but I do feel like there's people that have kind of soured on the idea of going to MSI versus just taking a break, resetting, and looking good in summer, because usually you get screwed whenever you go back. But So I do think that it's fair to say that there's a balance between Worlds and MSI, but I also just think like at this point in time, community sentiment is so negative around MSI and around the format that like it's at what point in time does it become a bad format? You know what I mean? Like if people are not entertained by the event and they feel like it's because of the way that the tournament is run, isn't that the sign of a bad format?
I mean, it kind of depends on what you want out of MSI. Because if Riot wanted MSI to be as competitive internationally as Worlds is, they would just do the Worlds format. So
I
obviously
think
they're trying to.
At the very least, what they want is for MSI to be entertaining.
Yeah, because the problem about comparing it to Worlds is that the budgets are not the same. Like you can't just Control Z, Control V Worlds to now. If you think Worlds is a better tournament, it's not. Like there's a reason that MSI is smaller, and it's because they go all out for Worlds. So like to the point about like format changes, the reason those are interesting is because in theory you can keep the same number of broadcast days, keep the same venues, keep the same everything setups, but just make it so that the games result in either more interesting matchups, the stakes are higher. You like that's what a format does. Whereas like if you think the content is lacking around MSI, which I think I saw some people talking about that on well or something, like fixing content means you have to like find money to like do certain different things, or you start changing maybe you think the content existed but it just wasn't great. Like having multiple podcasts about MSI that all get dropped on the same day seems like a weird decision, you could argue. I don't know if you saw that, Travis, but like those are kinds of like other things you can talk about the tournament. Like there's a bunch of different avenues. The nice thing about a format change is it's literally just changing. If you keep it under certain restrictions, you're just ideally making the matchups better and more interesting.
But coming from an entertainment perspective, I think like people have considered past MSIs to be reasonably entertaining, right? It's just like this one specifically that people are kind of like, we've reached like critical mass or whatever of people saying nope, it's done.
This is only the second year this format existed. Last year was the only other time that they had this format.
Oh, what did they do before?
Before, the only teams that played in the play-in portion were the wildcard teams and like NA and VCS/LMS. So like the top four teams, the top four regions were waiting already in bracket play or in group stage, and play-ins was about finding the next two. No, it was 4 waiting, 2 moved in, I believe.
And so viewership on the play-in stages was just like awful, right?
Well, I mean, the play-in stages were competitive at least. A lot of people didn't care because you're not watching LCK play, which is like, okay, I'm not watching the best teams in the world, but at least the games themselves were competitive for the people watching. Here, I think you have more people watching, but people would say that it's less entertaining. And what a good format would do would hopefully be solved for both.
Yeah, my argument, Michael, would be that even if you're getting more people to watch earlier in the event, that they will probably tune out faster, right? Like you are getting more people to watch. It's like clickbait headlines for like a really bad article on a website. Like maybe you temporarily drive more traffic to that article, but long term you're lowering the brand value of your website and people are going to start ignoring you at a certain point in time. And so that's my worry with MSI is like, sure, maybe you've boosted views for group stage or what was previously plans, but now people are like, I don't know if I want to watch this event because like when I tune in, I don't enjoy it. And so you long term you're doing it's very detrimental to the brand of
or like to Travis's point, RNG's like, we don't want to fucking play 3 more games again or something, you know, like the teams themselves, like we haven't even really discussed it from a team angle. Like what do the players think of the format and stuff, you know, like that is another angle to consider because it's not just about the fan experience.
Yeah.
But so wouldn't you say like we have seen, not every game has been competitive, but there have been like a reasonable number of competitive games?
No. I would not say there's been a reasonable number of competitive games.
I would disagree. I think, and that's why most people are finding it boring, Michael. Maybe you're enjoying it. If you are, no shade, but there are a lot of people who are watching T1. Like the games, like half the games were 20-minute games, but like all the major regions just kind of dominated. There was like one close RNG game the entire time against PSG. Like that game was good, I'll give it that, but one out of 6 games this one team played were close is not great. Why do I want to? Here's the question, because it's a limited opportunity space, right? The question is, you're going to play X amount of games. I don't know the exact number. Let's say you're going to play 90 games over these 3 weeks, no matter what. Why is 33% of the tournament involving games that are not competitive? If you can make a format that quickly gets you to competitive, interesting games and good matchups between teams so that you have a larger portion of that limited opportunity space causing interest in and of itself, like, shouldn't you try and find a format that gets you there faster without increasing extra burden?
Only if your goal of the format is to create the most number of competitive games. That's not the only goal of the format, right?
What are the other goals?
You want to have good viewership.
Yep.
And have your big budget teams or whatever, your big names, on the screen more often for marketing. Like, you want Faker on the screen as much as possible, right?
Yeah, ideally. But then why are you playing so many games between teams that aren't T1 or something? Like, you can solve all these together. Like, I'll do a video at some point this week talking about how you can, because, like, yeah, you want all those things, but why is T1 pub stomping a minor region and then watching that minor region get pub stomped by another region? Like, why are those, like, so much of the tournament?
This might just be me, but, like, if I was a T1 fan, I would enjoy watching them pub stomp other teams, just like I enjoyed watching EG pub stomp Order.
Well, regardless, I do think we've kind of gone in circles at this point in time, so I do want to move us along. But thank you so much, Michael, for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
Yes, I definitely want to shout out CLG DeMonte. Join his Discord. It's popping.
Join CLG DeMonte's Discord. Okay, thank you so much, Michael, and thank you for the call.
Yep, see ya.
Catch you next time.
That's a unique shout out. I don't think we've heard a join someone's Discord shout out before.
No, well, we've had people shout out Discords. Like, I think people have shouted out like the 100T Discord because Papa Smithy talks out there a lot with people and stuff, but I did not. Yeah, not a CLG DeMonte one. All right, we're gonna take a quick break to talk about Alienware, our first sponsor of today's episode. I keep saying tonight, but we're doing it in the middle of the day. Alienware is awesome. They have helped us tremendously make so many things occur. Mark was able to take their hardware with him to Berlin so we could do the show last week, and it's just fantastic to be able to do stuff with them. I know a lot of people have been asking for the new code, and that should be in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube right now, if you want to try to do that. It doesn't always work on the most recent products. They kind of get blocked out for a little bit, but that should work for other stuff. So just always give it a try. We are still working on trying to get that system open. I had somebody message me recently trying to make sure that I got credit for an Alienware purchase that they were making. So thank you so much to everybody who does that. I actually really do appreciate it. I could not do what I do without Alienware, and it's been fantastic to have them as a partner for so many years now. And I know sometimes it's easy for folks to just be like, oh yeah, Travis is talking about Alienware again, but I always want to make sure that we spend time to appreciate what they do to make this whole thing happen. So thank you so much to Alienware. You can go to alienware.com/Travis to check them out, and thank you for sponsoring the show. All right, Mark, you want to go grab our next caller?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you to some more subs. Max Drixton, Papayor Diwali, Evelyn Nest, Monchhall, Son of Kill, Zajef. Hello, Zajef. Ezyez, Low Poly Ego, Ari Waddle, Spencer Neutron for 50 months. Tier 3, thank you. Lord-Audie is here. Lord-Audie, you also sub, right?
That is correct.
Thank you for being a sub. And you've called in before, but remind everyone where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Queens, New York, the best time zone.
The best time zone. Why is it the best time zone?
Oh, it allows me to call without not having to work, so I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah,
Gotcha,
you're done with work.
What do you want to talk about on the show?
My hot take is that the current MSI format does a great disservice to the lower tier regions. Half of them are basically doomed from the get-go at first week. There's barely any space for show any talent for any of the lower tier regions. There should be a consideration to basically allow them to basically shine between themselves. I know that it can become like a Simpsons meme of the chimps fighting each other, but at the same time, I feel that by allowing the lower regions to basically play each other more often, will basically allow those regions to be more invested because they will basically have a space to, like show off against each other compared to being just getting ordered and just getting stumped by every top tier region.
Yeah. You don't mean Audie, do you mean to say that when Order wins their tournament, they don't it does getting to say like congratulations, now you get to go get 0-8ed at an international event. Go lose 8 games.
That
in
wasn't a
Korea.
reward?
That's not rewarding.
I would like to think that they will feel differently about that, but yes, it basically allows them to allow them to have moments to go back to when they go back to their regions, something to show off. I know that at some point, one of them has to be last. It's the fate of a tournament. There's always going to be one that is not going to be doing the best against everyone else, but at the same time, it's not like getting curb stomped. Like I understand that there's some value to basically fighting the best, well, playing against the best of the best. Everyone wants to play Faker, everyone wants to play G2, everyone wants to play RNG, but at the same time, there's claims for that. And at the same time, if that's the way that you're going to show off internationally, it just feels bad regardless. I don't think there's an upside to that. It's just like, I don't know what it does to them mentally, but I don't imagine that it's anything good, to be honest.
Mark, what do you think of the idea of having a system where the beginning of MSI you just have like the minor regions playing against each other?
Okay, Travis. So you basically want to bring back international wildcard play-ins. Here's what I'll say, and people might think based off the previous call, I don't think that top teams should play bottom teams. I actually do. I think, like, viewership-wise, it is absolutely worth it to get your good teams playing earlier on in the tournament. Like, people might think, based off how I was talking about in the previous call, I think, like, SKT should be waiting a week away from now or something, or T1, excuse me. God damn it. I don't. I think they should be playing. And I think the bottom tier teams should get a chance to get pub stomped because they should get a chance to upset. I think both those things are totally fine. My only problem is the distribution of games and how much we have to run these games back. Like, I'm sure, Audi, to your point, like, Order probably didn't like getting 0-8'd, but they probably liked getting a chance to take games off G2 and EG. My problem is not that these opportunities exist. My problem is that we spend so much time continuing to give them that chance after it already was kind of proven that it's probably not going to happen. And that group is a weird one because, again, there was a team missing from there. But a number of teams, like none of the Pool 4 teams ever get to play against each other, right? There's no time. Yeah, there's no time for Order to say, okay, yeah, we can't beat G2 EG. We learned that lesson. But are we better than Istanbul? Are we better than Japan? Who are we actually better than? And I think that is a question that those fans would enjoy playing, those players would enjoy. And I know I was reading like minor region threads because some people asked, like, how do minor region fans feel that? Like, people were saying as an Order fan, they were just happy to watch their games at international tournament. And they're going to watch no matter what. But like, yeah, it after a certain point in time, it doesn't feel good. And like, A's probably didn't feel good, getting hard shit on. And like, I'm sure these teams want to play the top teams, but they don't just want to keep getting blasted by them, and they do want to probably play other teams. I think this is just a problem that exists in international competition in Riot in general, is that like you see too few matchups. You really don't see that many matchups because people get thrown into these groups, they're locked into these groups, and we beat these groups over the head, and then half the teams are dead at the end of these groups anyways, and they never get a chance to play other teams. And they're really small groups. Like the international will have like 8-team groups, and you play best of ones, and while you might still randomly get upset by that team, and you might not actually be better than them over the course of playing 7 games in a group. Like, you learn roughly who is the best, and that's all you really need. So like, I think the small group sizes in the double round robin is what leads to some of these problems, because instead of Order being in a group with another Pool 4 seed and in a group with 2 Pool 3s and 2 Pool 2s and 2 Pool 1s, in an 8 team group or something like that, like, you just get slammed over and over by these other things. And so that's that's where my target for it is, Travis, is I actually like having these teams all playing each other. I actually like watching these stomps sometime, but it's just the best team in the group goes 3-0 through the first round robin. They win their first game next week. Great. Now all their games don't matter, or some team went 0-4 and now all their games don't matter. And yet you still have to play them out. And I think that there are systems that exist that would prune those games that no longer matter, that can get those interesting matchups where they get their experience against the best teams in the world, but you don't need to watch them beat their head into a wall either. Things like Swiss, which most league fans probably have no idea what a Swiss format is, but would basically solve every problem we have right now.
Isn't that the one with a lot of holes in it?
Exactly.
Okay. I disagree, Mark. I disagree. Get T1, RNG, and G2 out of here. If OPL wants to take games off of them, or LCO wants to take games off of them, then make it to the next stage of the event. RNG, T1, and G2 are not having a good time doing this. It's not that exciting. And the only the two arguments that I can think of for this is well, maybe LCO would like a chance to probably lose a game to G2 or get stomped by T1. We know where these regions are at right now. And there was some moment where it's oh man, these wildcard teams, they're starting to take off. But that was a mirage, I think. And so, and then the other reason to have it happen is for viewership. But you're again, it's short-term gains of viewership for long-term brand damage for this event. Sorry, right? You want more viewership, then fucking invite more teams from major regions. Okay, don't be well, we got to get LPL to play against, I don't know, whatever region and have them stomp so that, people will stay up weird hours to watch this stuff. I don't think it's entertaining. I don't think it's good. And I it's one of those situations where they are trying to optimize to make everyone happy. Give people from China something to watch in the early stages of the event. Give LCO a chance to take a game off a major region. But now no one's happy. And so I think at a certain point in time, you just have to start, if they want to optimize for viewership, have more teams later on in the event, have more than just 3 best of 5s in this tournament, and throw this whole fucking format out the window.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but I was gonna say, because I came into League later, so before that I used to watch, but I still watch fighting game tournaments, and I'm very biased about, any invitation. I just basically I see the bracket, I see that OWLM. Even it is just pure, in which everyone goes into winners. So basically the first, the top 6 go into winners and the lower 4 go into losers bracket from the beginning. And I think that would be an in-between, in which we basically allow them to have the top teams encounter each other during the tournament, and the lower teams either at the losers bracket or basically just going into the losers bracket as they lose, basically encounter each other and having a losers bracket that basically would allow people that drop off from the winner's side and allow those matches between the lower tier and the upper tier kind of matchups to happen. But I'm very biased for that.
No, I think that's I'm personally been pushing the Swiss system recently, and I'll probably make a video about it. But even what you're talking about, Audie, you can take the current format and add a couple more games, not many, and do 2 groups of 6. Top 2 go into the upper bracket, and top 2 go into the bottom bracket, and bottom 2 are eliminated, or middle 2 go into the lower bracket, right? And you can do a single round robin for a 2-group system through 1 week, and then start playing bracket games the next. The problem is we also have 2 group stages of best of 1 round robins. I don't hate best of 1 round robins in groups. I actually don't. But you can just do a bigger one right out the gate, crush through the games to roughly seed a tournament bracket, and then move on quickly, while still giving these teams their chance to pull upsets. So if a team goes 0-7 or 0-5, because it's 16 groups, right? You go 0-5, you're out. Sorry. But you still got a game against every team in your group, including some of these top teams. But we spend so much time doing this into another double round robin with a bunch of the same matchups that we've already seen. when you can just get through it quicker. I think that's the other problem that I've been trying to stress with this is the amount of time that is spent replaying matchups we've already watched that were never that close to begin with gets pretty tiring.
I don't know. I could be convinced, Mark, and I'm excited for when you do your video, which I'm sure will take place on my channel.
Yes.
To see what your system is, because maybe it will. I will admit that I've been more frustrated with this format than spending time thinking about better formats. So maybe there is some system out there, but I do think that this one needs to be thrown out the window and replaced.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people vehemently hate Best of Ones. Empire in chat hating them. I don't mind Best of Ones just for the fun upset potential.
Yeah.
But it's a little annoying when 66% of your tournament or more is like Best of Ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, isn't one of the most interesting things about League is like the adaptations between games? Like, nah, fuck it. All right, cool. Anyways, yeah, we'll be talking a lot more. But I agree, Audi. I think your suggestion about like a losers bracket is one that people have been desperate for years. And would be nice even in Worlds as well.
Best of Ones also, you had to figure out how to seed teams, so just getting rid of Best of Ones is not really practical.
Yeah, I appreciate the Best of One group stages for attempting to seed, but they don't even really do that right now.
I mean, I don't think it will be that difficult given that international performance is a very good metric to basically start seeding the teams even before they go into like a round robin. Just basically like best international performance gets the top seeding, and then it just goes down from there, and then that will be basically an initial.
Well, you kind of do that with the pool system, right? So it's like that. We already are kind of doing that, but I feel like seeding a giant bracket just based off of previous international performances, that's a bit much for me. I don't know.
It's a little sketchy, but if you have double round robin, at least like you're a little protected against a bad seed, but not fully.
Lord-Audie, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to our next caller?
Shout out to the sponsors. Shout out to my wife that introduced me to League of Legends, and have a nice day. Best Coast.
Have a good one.
See ya.
All right. We are ready for the next caller. Mark is off to go grab them. Thank you to Shavul, Mr. Dr. Enchilada, Fragbite Light, JJ What's Up, and Kanoke for the subs. Izzdaer is here. I always forget how to pronounce your name, even though you've been on the show previously.
Right. You're good.
Can you remind me again?
Yeah, you got it right.
Izzdaer. Okay, and remind me where you're calling from.
London, England.
London, England. Did you call last week because we were at a good time for you? Is that what happened?
Yeah, exactly. I'm making the most of it.
Okay, great. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my copium hot take is that EG's MSI struggles versus G2 particularly have been down to their imports, not their resident players. With Impact losing his playoff buff and Inspired basically getting schooled by Jankos. If either of them can find form again, I think it will help EG make a much deeper run.
So what I'm hearing is import talent is ruining North America chances at international events.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to expand on this a bit? Because Twitch chat, which you should not look at, disagrees with you a little bit on this. So where's sort of the evidence that you have for Impact and Inspired being the detriments?
Obviously, JoJo's had some struggles, but I think that's just natural. He's actually going to be fine. And obviously, it looks like Danny's been doing a lot worse, but I think that's actually down to just Jankos playing the map a lot better. Like, obviously, Twitch chat's going off about Inspired at the moment. I think he has had some good pop-off moments, but actually, if you look at how the map's been played and how Jankos has allowed his team to do more, I think Inspired not playing like he did in the playoff is allowing EG as a team to do less, and Impact is just straight up not smurfing like he was. He's doing fine, but as we all know, like through the playoffs, he was like one of their strongest players.
So I guess this is an interesting way to go take this, because the people who were like, shut up about NA talent after spring finals were like, it's really Impact and Inspired doing the work for this team. And so one could argue that if that take was correct, then you go to MSI, Impact and Inspired are no longer facing LCS talent. They're facing, I guess, LEC talent in this situation. and so they can't actually pop off, do the work that they need to do to carry the rest of the team, and so they're actually now like the secret sauce has become a bit of a detriment. That's I guess the way to look at it from that perspective. Mark, what do you think of this? Blame the jungler?
No, I'm a Twitch chatter right now. I'm on the full other side of the camp. I think I will say, you know, like the whole young NA talent, they'll get better, yada yada yada. That's all true. But it's not like other teams don't have young talent as well. Like Targamas and Flackid are rookies, by the way, and they just dumped on Vulcan and Danny every lane phase, basically, aside for the game 3. So I can't agree. I think Impact's been their best player by a pretty considerable margin. Not to say that he's perfect. I mean, you can pick apart any game and find people doing. Targamas is not a rookie. Sorry, excuse me. But Flackid is, and Targamas is what, second year in the league? Started last year. I mean, it's the same way like Danny's not technically a rookie. You know, I would call Danny a rookie still. I shouldn't say that. He's not really a rookie, but I said it anyways.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but like, you know, Danny was struggling a lot in lane phase. I think there's a lot of things that are wrong about how they're like playing currently. It's hard to say, but I just think Inspired, like you can look at those some highlights from Inspired struggling in the games, like some of the engages I know, but I really think the Vulcan and Danny have been struggling the most on the team. I think Impact's been the best player. I think Inspired and JoJo are kind of like a little bit together, but maybe it's worse for JoJo. I can't get behind it. I can't get behind the impacts or the imports of the problem.
Izzdaer,
Yeah.
I agree completely with you. All right, we need more NA talent at this event. Get these fucking wasted import players out of this team and replace them. Bring Solo in instead of Impact. All right, bring I don't know who's like a free agent NA jungler. I don't know. Yeah, Dardoch and the jungler. Yeah, Darshan and Dardoch. Okay, and then we'd be kicking everybody's ass. No, I do like the copium take, but it's hard to feel as though I guess I would move it more in the direction of the Inspired and Impact cannot push as hard as they could before to make up for some of JoJo and Danny's gaps or whatever, right? Like it's a situation where Danny can't pop off at the end of the game because there's other people making sure that things don't go awry whenever he's like losing lane and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think that's holy shit, Travis. You just made a good analytical point. I think like the team is still the team from playoffs, but before Impact was top die, kind of like smurfing with like the Aatrox and the Mordekaiser and stuff, and now he's going toe to toe with Broken Blade and actually like doing decent. But Danny and Vulcan were losing lanes in playoffs, but then it was fine. Now they're losing lanes and then just kind of getting like shit on. And can like over the course of the game and not getting able to spoon feed kills like they could in other situations. I think like they could have won some of those games versus G2. They weren't unwinnable games. I don't think they're like NA's Giga doomed or anything like that. But I think the problems we knew were there got exposed harder by better competition. Like that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, EG, first-time international team from North America, is struggling against the other major regions. I'm shocked. Okay. Izzdaer, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to the next caller?
Cat for Kobe.
Ugh. All right.
You got a cat walking, following you in the neighborhood now? What's going on there?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Penny. Anyway.
Mr. Penny is your sympathy cat? You need one?
Yeah. Why don't you go grab the next caller? Thank you to Fragbite Light, JJ What's Up, Kanoke, Blue Jay, and Cynical. Thank you, everybody, for the subs. We are a little low on subs right now because we're down from our previous highs because of MSI. Yeah, Simon is here. Simon, where are you calling from?
I'm calling in from Denver, Colorado.
When was have you ever been on the show before?
I have not.
Okay, Simon, for those that don't know, is one of our Discord admins and has been around for a long time. In fact, he built this Discord. So thank you, Simon, for all the work you've done. Glad to have you on the show after all these years. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So I'm here with the hot take on ping for
Okay.
the day. And so I want to preface this with going into MSI as an event, Riot had to make a choice between competitive integrity and alienating the Chinese fan base. And they decided to go with the path of making money and maintaining viewership. And so rather than having RNG just take the handicap and play on ping while everyone else is on 0, they brought everyone down to the level of 30 ping, raised up, the bar so that everyone is going to be lagging, everyone's going to be having a bad time, but they'll get more viewership and make more money from the tournament.
So I would argue the opposite, which is that like they needed to put everybody on the same ping and for competitive integrity reasons, right? Like you're not having integrity around your competitiveness whenever you have one team that's playing with a pretty big handicap and nobody else is. And it creates, I think, a lot bigger of an asterisk if you go out and RNG gets smoked by T1 and it's the narrative becomes like, well, Riot forced RNG to play this tournament, and they like how mad would people be if you had that situation? So like it feels like it's interesting because I have seen some fans be like, oh, you should have just made them play on this ping and nobody else should have. But when you talk to players and coaches and folks, pretty much generally speaking, everybody agrees that like out of all the bad situations, this was the best option. That people did want to see RNG at this event. People did want to feel as though everybody was on the same situation. I guess you could have some arguments about like, is it better to have the RNG games on 35 ping and then everybody else plays each other on not? But I don't know. But it's hard to feel as though this is the less competitive integrity situation.
So the reason I'm citing competitive integrity here and saying that that's the problem is that it was a choice between having everyone playing on the playing field they're used to with the setup ping, just the entire game they're used to, or having RNG at the tournament. Because if RNG wasn't getting this crutch to hold them up, they wouldn't have been at the tournament to begin with.
So you're saying it would have been better to just not have RNG here from the first.
Yeah, so don't ruin the games for everyone else by wanting to incorporate that viewership.
You mean basically give them the VCS treatment? Like, sorry, I can't make it.
It's preferential treatment because China is a big region, because there's a lot of money there, a lot of viewership. The Chinese market alone could sustain League more so than any of the Western market. But it just completely lowers the quality of the games. And I don't think it changes the outcome of the games very much. I think we would still be seeing pretty much the same outcomes on 0 ping, but it lowers the viewership experience and the player experience.
I mean, I think you'd get some pretty big differences in outcomes because there's a good chance that like NA or EU would have made it to finals, which
if we were on 0 ping.
Yeah. Well, if you're on 0 ping and RNG's not here, right?
I
wasn't making a joke.
So,
yeah.
0 ping and RNG is not here.
The RNG not being there is the bigger reason they would make it to finals.
Because Korea's only taking up one spot then. Yes.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought you were just memeing. No. So like, I hear what you're saying, Simon, and I don't necessarily think you're wrong factually, but I also think like the real world factors still matter. Like Absolutely. To that point that Travis just made, like the tournament will have a huge asterisk no matter what. And I feel like fans and teams would rather have that asterisk be the ping was a little higher than games typically are, than it be the region that's won the most international tournaments in the last 4 years isn't there. I think that concession is a more palatable one to the overall ecosystem than China was included. And to me, I would hope the decision makers at Riot, it's not like a binary thing, but it's like, yeah, that region is really important to the ecosystem of the game, and just cutting them out is not smart. Not just for the LPL fans, but for LCK fans and stuff. I think, people always say like, oh, would they do this for the other regions? And it's like, well, some of them, yeah. Like if you had this tournament in Shanghai and T1 couldn't play, but they could play on 35 ping, they would do the same thing, 100%. The question becomes blurrier when it's other regions that are not your two favorites, and when it's higher than 35 ping. So for VCS in the past, the ping would, if they were going to do this for those Vietnamese teams, one, they're not really favorites. They're not going to seriously most likely be making a late run into your tournament. And two, you wouldn't have the ping be 35. It'd be much higher most likely. So they absolutely would make this concession for LCK. They might not make it for any other regions. And even if they would consider it, it would heavily depend on the ping situation. And to me, that's a fine thing to like. Other sports do this too, where they'll make concessions for top talent to show up. They will make the tournament more palatable to the top talent because they want them there. Like fighting games do it all the time. It's really not that uncommon to be like, hey, we're going to try and make this something that you're going to want to play at and stuff like that, and be good for the sport as a whole.
I will say it's been fascinating to me to see all the like wild conspiracy theories that have come out from all this stuff. Like even in chat right now, Vanadar says Korea would have been cut as well, which is, it's crazy to me that is like a perspective. And I've seen stuff like that before. It's like, it's insane to me that some people think that they would have been like, sorry, T1, you can't play.
Sure.
Yeah.
Biggest name in the Michael Jordan. Sorry, you can't play.
And then Kurz here says Riot are trying to get Valorant in China. No way they would cut them out of MSI. I'm like, what? Like, I don't think that's not a factor at all.
The
like
team came in and they're like, listen up, League Global Esports team.
And so there's and I'm sorry to call you guys out, but obviously you're in the Twitch chat. You know how this works. And so there's a whole lot of just like crazy shit that you see online where people think that like Riot intentionally made the ping weird, or that like Riot intentionally forced the LPL teams to play again. I'm not saying that these are like, I always get accused whenever I talk about something like this that I'm trying to act as though this is the general consensus. I know it's not. It's just hilarious to me to see like the fringe beliefs that come out of this stuff where people just start like, I don't know. I also think like the fuck up around the ping stuff, which by the way is still Riot's fault. At the end of the day, they make the game, like they're responsible for this stuff. Like they made the mistake, but it's still their fault. But I do think that we would be having less like, I think we'd be complaining about the format. I don't think we'd be complaining about having RNG at this tournament if we had not had weird unstable ping situation. If all the players had just been saying, yeah, it sucks playing on 35 ping, but whatever, like I think we would not be having this conversation about whether or not RNG should be at the tournament. It became a bigger conversation when players started to come out and say like, it doesn't feel like 35 ping. Like,
yes,
when all these extra complications came out, that's I think where people start doubting the premise.
Yeah, and so some people are saying, chat, like, you're crazy if you don't think Riot doesn't cater to China. Yeah, they fucking do. Of course they cater to China. No one's denying that, but the point being that they wouldn't also cater to Korea is also insane. You don't think Riot caters to Korea?
I also think there's a difference between, like, are they making decisions? For instance, the fact that North America has not held an international event in, like,
6 years.
Forever.
2016, yeah.
Well, we had MSI in North America more recently, right? Or did we not?
Did we?
Oh,
I don't think so.
Okay, whatever. The fact that it's been longer than a decade or half a decade since we had an international event in North America, that is obviously a situation where they are catering to the Asian audience. But that does also not mean
Reykjavik, and the games are played at good times for the Asian market in Reykjavik, you know?
Yes. And so that is obviously catering to that market. There's a difference between that and we're going to artificially imbalance the competitiveness of this tournament in order to cater to the audience or something. You know, I just don't like if here's a great case in point. If Riot was catering to the Chinese audience at the detriment of competitive integrity, they would not have remade. They would not have had RNG replay those games. Like that is not a very popular decision. So it's just
RNG hated it clearly.
Yeah, they were not happy. And so I just I think it's funky whenever people want to just look at one side and ignore the other.
Well, and like to this point, like we can admit that there are certain factors that make some regions more important than others. I have no problem admitting that. But I just think it's when the tinfoil hat grows a little too large, you know? It's like, yeah, of course, real world factor wise, like this is still a sport. You have to like consider, you know, what's going on here. But like to think that they are bending over backwards to like try and make China win or something, or like they wouldn't extend these same courtesies to other like regions in a similar situation. Like, again, yeah, sorry, VCS, you're not China or Korea. It's just true. You know, like that sucks to hear, I know, but that's probably like the reality of the situation. And like, there are always going to be things that cause these other regions to be more considered when trying to figure out what's going to make a good tournament.
Yeah. All right. Simon, thanks for the call. It's nice to have you on. Anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
Massive shout out to Travis Gafford Books. More book videos.
I'm hoping to do a couple videos for that channel in the next month or so. I'm going to try to interview an author, and I'm also going to try to do something with the 17th Shard folks. So if it's the book channel does not have a committed release schedule. I don't feel bad when things haven't hit there for a bit. So, but hopefully we'll get some stuff there soon. Thank you, Simon, for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Take care. Take care.
I finished Warbreaker on the plane, Travis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, finally.
Okay.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No.
And you still haven't done Era 2, right?
Era 2 of Mistborn?
Yeah.
No.
Well, you know Lost Metal comes out this year, so...
Yeah, maybe I'll do it. Should we do a mini little book review right now?
I mean, no spoilers, but... What were you not? Because Warbreaker is, I think, still one of my favorites up there.
I don't really like Brandon Sanderson's sense of humor. There are times he makes me funny. It makes me laugh, but a lot of like his like witty humor dialogue makes me want to die. Yeah, and there were multiple main POV witty humor characters that made me want to die.
Isn't there only Light Song?
Siri does it a fair bit in the beginning. She gets more serious throughout the book when things happen. Spoilers. But yeah, no, Light Song is so brutal. But like even like the mercenaries have like a lot of this like kind of humor going.
Yeah, I like Light Song a lot. I think he's really cool, and I think he's an interesting character.
He's an interesting character. I hate the jokes, and that's like 80% of his dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that a lot of people don't like. Lopin, a lot of people don't like Wayne, and they don't like Light Song, and they don't like early Shallan.
Shallan is like the bane of my existence. No. Yeah.
No, Brandon Sanderson definitely has like the haha fun pun type thing. Whereas like if you go read Abercrombie, you got Glockta being like, "Yep, maybe today I love Glockta." Die. Yeah. Anyway, it's body found by the river or by the docks.
That and then the ending, without spoiling, was just very abrupt.
Yeah. It's fine.
It was just like
his honeymoon ended. Over. He had to go back. Anyway, go grab our next caller. Okay, off he goes. No more subs in the past 18 minutes, so now we sit in this awkward silence. That's not true, Oliums. There's some stuff. Oh yeah, Lift is probably another character that Mark does not like. I'm okay actually with that stuff. I think the humor is fine, but I can understand. Okay, it's a Jake is here. It's a Jake. Where are you calling from? Oh, not again. How does this keep happening? Jake, please.
All right, I'm going to disconnect you, Jake, and we're going to go for the direct pull.
So rejoin one of the channels, and Mark will pull you back in. I don't know. It's just to be clear, this is a Discord thing. Everybody always
Skype is somehow
Skype
fucking
so
this
much.
up again.
Everybody whines about Skype so much, but we have just as many issues with Discord.
Where did he? He's not. What was his name again?
Jake.
It's Jake.
So, I mean, something like that.
Join a room. So we can pull you. If we ever have to disconnect you, you have to rejoin a room in order for us to. There he is.
Great. All right.
Hello?
Jake, can we hear you? Wait, somebody else left the waiting room. The other person that was in the waiting room left.
What is happening? Dude, it's a daytime show. The sun's up and Hotline League call-ins lose their mind. Jake?
Okay, let's try.
Should we do waiting room?
Yeah, do you want to? Let's do the waiting room. I'm going to move Yesshua into subcalls.
Okay.
Jake, can we hear you here?
Jake?
Oh my god. Okay.
I was just talking to this guy. What happened? I hate this.
Well, they're muting and unmuting, so they're
acknowledging that's all right. Let's try. I'm going to disconnect you again, Jake, and just join a room again.
Okay, I'm going to go back to on air. Okay, sorry for the tech issues, folks. TGI officially worse than Riot Productions. Well, I'll tell you, we won't remake this episode. So I think that we're good there.
Yeah.
I moved Yesshua back to the waiting room.
All right, Jake is back again. I'm going to move him to waiting room, and I'll see if I can talk to him there.
Yeah, go for it. Maybe I'm just too intimidating. People climb up around me. They'll talk to Mark, but not me. Remake all of Hotline League from episode 1. Yeah, exactly. Travis, we need you to play those 3 calls back, please. Yeah. I have not read Dragonlance Chronicles. I don't tend to read stuff that's like super old school. I tend to try to read stuff that's written in the past like 20 years.
Here you go. Let's try Yesshua.
Yesshua, welcome to the show. Where are you calling from?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yesshua, I saw your mic light up for a second.
Just talk to him.
Yesshua, please. What's happening? Is Discord?
This is like a coordinated. This must be because this is like a coordinated assault by viewers to like. Oops! I started moving waiting room.
This is hilarious. Wait, what if I just join?
Hello?
Oh my god!
I just went to Yesshua and I'm like, all right, we'll do him first because his microphone's working.
Hello, Yesshua. It's got to be okay. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect because maybe I'm the problem.
Maybe we're the problem.
Yeah. Okay. I am joining on air.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello. I can hear you.
We can still hear each other, so we can't be the problem.
Yes, I think so.
Yesshua. God damn it! I'm just pulling people around now.
Can you? Whenever I'm not around, can you hear him?
You leave, Travis. Let's see if you're the problem.
Okay. This is everyone enjoy this tech support live on air. I'm now on air 2, which is a channel that Simon made. Maybe there's a region like the server region is having issues. So he said, "Wait, I heard something. Never mind, it was my tinnitus." Hello,
Jake. He might not be ready. Yeah, that might just be because I started. Simon said he made.
Did you hear him whenever I wasn't in the room?
No, I couldn't hear him. Still, it feels like as soon as I pulled them the second time, it started fucking with their settings or something because of Discord.
Well, I wonder sometimes if like Discord messes up their ability to talk, and then they panic and they start changing settings on their end, which leads to them no longer working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think this is the fact that you can hear them in the waiting room, but not whenever we go on air. Most of the time, I think is a Discord issue. So maybe we should run the whole show on Skype. Is what I'm getting at.
No.
I'm just hanging out with a silent Jake right now. He's got a Gengar icon on Discord. It's great. We love it. I was going to take a quick break to do the Grubhub ad, and we didn't do that. I'm going to do the Grubhub ad right now while we're waiting on this. Hello, everyone. I want to give a big shout out to Grubhub for sponsoring the show. Thank you to Grubhub. People always ask about the Grubhub code, and I have another code for you this week, which is 5Travis. That's the word 5, not the number. 5Travis, one word. It's $5 off $10. It's a 500 cap. Oh,
see, there's something fucked with the waiting room and on-air room recently.
I'm doing the Grubhub ad right now.
Oh,
so I'll finish the Grubhub ad while you troubleshoot this, Mark, and then I'll rejoin if you tell me. Okay, so it's 5Travis, and it runs from May 16th to May 22nd, and you can use 5Travis to receive $5 off your Grubhub order of $10 plus, only for the first 500 orders. Again, this is from May 16th to May 22nd, and again, we have a new one called, if you haven't ever used Grubhub before, use New Travis when you order whenever you've never used Grubhub before. New, NEWTRAVIS, one word. So somebody actually messaged me this week and said, "Oh, I just joined came to the US for an internship, and I'm signing up for Grubhub. Can I use your code and everything?" And it was great. So thank you to Grubhub for sponsoring the show. We love you, Grubhub. Sorry that we're dealing with this right now, but yeah, thank you. New NEW Travis. Is Grubhub not a Canada thing? They have something there called Skip the Dishes, but it's not. Unfortunately, my codes don't work on that. But thank you to everybody who tweets at Grubhub and lets them know I do this stuff and blah 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 blah.
All right. Hello, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Join on air too, and we're gonna do it down there.
Okay. Hello, Jake.
Hey, Travis.
Oh my God, we did it. Okay, so it was a Discord issue.
Yeah,
It's definitely.
Okay, it has something to do with the regions. I think that the channels used. So we can blame.
Yeah,
Discord.
I'm using like a Bluetooth headset, and it just kept on disconnecting me.
Okay, so it's not a Discord issue, but that doesn't explain Yesshua. Jake, what do you want? Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm actually calling from Spokane, Washington right now.
Spokane, Washington. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Well, I had 2 takes, and if we still have time for both of them, we can do both of them. But I believe Mark wanted me to go with, at least first, the T1 is making this tournament look easy, and they're going to continue making this tournament look easy and win it. Probably undefeated.
Undefeated. Do you think they'll drop a single game in Rumble?
I think their highest chance to lose a game would probably be to, and I would say this is no troll, but G2.
Oh, G2 instead of RNG.
Yeah, because right now, G2 has probably shown the most creativity and ingenuity in like their picks, the way they draft, and even especially the way they play. Cap is honestly just on another level right now too, so that certainly helps.
Gotcha. Okay, but that's their highest chance, but you think it's most likely that they'll go undefeated.
Yep.
So what about T1 and their performance do you think is the thing that's really giving you so much confidence in them?
Well, the main reason I believe they will do this is because, as we saw in the group stage, they were able to kind of pick almost whatever they wanted and win with it relatively easily. And specifically, Owner in the jungle, he was pretty big dicking every other jungle in that group, and he was doing it on things like Vi and Kindred, and it was pretty fun to watch actually, but just yeah, it was crazy.
All right, Mark.
I mean, I think that's especially a good point, given that Wei has been someone who has been under criticism for even in the LPL a little bit, and had some sus games over here that no longer count. I think his most sus games don't count actually anymore. So he's been great. I do think the T1 games have not been close at all, no matter who they play. I guess there was like, it was kind of close for a little bit against
the first one against Saigon Buffalo, where the bot lane was kind of trolling a little bit, but
that wasn't the one. There was one on the last day that, if I remember, that was like maybe I'm getting mixed up. But that one with the bot lane Ali Trish stuff was just
was it the DFM game too?
Yeah, it might have been the DFM game. But yeah, they just never really felt like there was never a point, even if they made mistakes and like other teams held a gold lead for a second, it never once felt like a game where like, oh, this other team might win. Whereas I legitimately felt like in that RNG PSG game, from a game state perspective, it was like, oh, PSG should maybe win this game from here. Then they fucked it up with the Baron immediately after. And they just like, obviously RNG is a better team, but like that did feel like a closer in the late game situation. The other team has an advantage over RNG. And that to me is a little concerning. I think T1 as well has just been like fucking amazing all year long. So I'm with you. T1's the favorite. I wouldn't go so far as to say that they aren't going to drop a game though. Even in best of fives, I feel like they'll give some up. Though I still think, I mean, I would have said that they're probably the favorite coming into the tournament. They're still the favorite. But yeah, they're gonna lose something.
Who do you think G2 is their most likely loss, Mark?
I'd say it's pretty even between RNG and G2. I agree with Jake's point about G2 having some more curveballs to throw, Caps being an absolute stud, and like his pop-off potential. Like Xiaohu just plays the game differently. He's very smart. And maybe that can get a win, but you know, like it does feel different than like Caps taking Stylus and just like popping the fuck off, or like, oh, here's an Anivia, suck on that kind of thing. So I definitely think G2 as well. I think there's just like more history between our T1 and, I mean, T1 has history with a lot of teams, RNG as well, but just like the T1 feels angry about G2 having a winning record against them across 2 years or whatever it was, like 4 out of 5 in best of fives. So
yeah, wasn't it 8-3? Is that what Quickshot said their overall G2 versus SKT score is?
It might be. I'm not sure. I think maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was 4 and 5 in best of fives for G2 favored, but that sounds like that should be more than 8 games then. So maybe I'm mistaken.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it. Oh, it's Caps is 8-3. Okay.
Oh, Caps. Okay.
Still, either way.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say either way, it points to G2 having some potential, maybe.
What do you think it means for the tournament if T1 doesn't drop a game at all? Like, do you think it makes the MSI feel even worse in a way? Because, you know, it's already had all this controversy, then the whole thing is just T1 comes through, cuts the whole thing like a knife through butter, 3-0, 3-0 in their best of fives, and that's it. Like,
I don't think that makes it feel worse.
You don't think
it
feels
worse. About as bad as it can feel, right?
Okay, we're already at the bottom.
Only can go up from here.
I think that actually might be even more exciting. You know, if T1 goes undefeated all the way through, that might actually add a little bit of hype to the otherwise kind of sad tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, I guess, on your perspective. Like, I think that there's an argument to be made. I'm sure for T1 fans, it's crazy, but like, I wonder if it also just is like, oh yeah, that MSI, that was the one that had all the issues, and then T1 just beat everybody, and it was never competitive at all. You know, like it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it would be bad to have them go totally undefeated through it. I don't think they will, and I also think like the whole, I mean, like the T1 undefeated match streak thing is just a little funny to me. It's like kind of fudging the numbers to sound more impressive. It's like, G2 hasn't dropped a game in 20 games. And T1's like, yeah, our match score is also really good, guys.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, tougher competition, LCK, all that stuff, but there's definitely been some number fudging where it's like best of ones are treated just as importantly as best of fives and best of threes. Like, don't look too closely. T1 undefeated.
This is off
Okay,
topic,
sure.
but Mark, I have never commented before on your hair, but today's the day where I break that rule. It's insane. What are you even doing?
I'm just making
It
look
looks
as goofy as I can.
crazy right now. Like there's just like a portal in the middle of it. Anyway,
It's just a black hole. It sucks in light.
I mean, yeah, it kind of was. I don't know what's going on.
I can try to get back.
Anyway, your roots are so dark that it. Anyway, Jake, I guess we'll see how things go for T1. But it does feel like they were the tournament favorites, so they're definitely remaining the tournament favorites. And now the big question is just like, are they going to drop a game? So just continuing the excitement.
If they draw right, with my kind of secondary take is that EG wouldn't make it out of the Rumble stage, and instead it would be PSG. And I think if T1 drew PSG first, just swiped them out, and then went up against either winner of G2 RNG. Like, again, if it's G2, that's probably their best chance at losing a game, but I could easily see them 3-0ing PSG and then 3-0ing RNG.
I say we go on the EG take. So that was the second topic you had, Travis, that
okay.
I think we can just take it so I don't have to do another call about it. Just like
Sure.
the G2 prediction, or EG prediction, excuse me.
All right, Jake, what do you got for EG?
Well, just mainly that I think they're going to get mid and bot gapped by PSG. I mean, they could even get mid and bot gapped by Buffalo, but I mean, I think that right now PSG is just a better team, especially their bot lane. Like Unified and Kaiwing are personally like just on another level compared to Danny and Vulcan. So I think that they might get bot gapped pretty heavily.
So does that mean you have EG not making it out of group Rumble stage?
I could easily see it being the classic NA thing where like both teams go, like 4-4 or 3-5 or whatever, and then there's a tiebreaker and we lose that.
That or it'll be the thing where they beat G2 in a really exciting match.
Yeah.
And then lose to
they'll
Buffalo
be
or something.
T1 in the exciting match.
Oh, you just said they were going to go undefeated, so I don't want to give them T1, but
that would be the most NA.
It'll be the one that doesn't matter at all. They're playing T1 last game of the.
No, I think it'll be
the Rumble stage.
It's often the opposite. Well, oftentimes they win the one. Oftentimes what happens is you have them beat Europe in a crazy game, then they lose to like a minor region team the next day, and then that means that they are no longer qualified, and then they go win some crazy match.
Yeah. We can talk about what a bad NA tournament's going to be. This isn't it, all right? I'll counter Jake on this one. I agree in the previous one. This one, no fucking way. All right, when it was the god Maple in the mid lane thrown down, scary.
TSM
okay,
Maple?
Bay is bad. Like straight up not good.
Insane, but I think that on like mechanical level, he's pretty close to where like JoJo's at, and I think that just the way that the team plays, he fits into the PSG play style almost better than JoJo fits into the EG play style, because at times I feel like JoJo's just on a different page compared to the rest of the team.
I'll say Bay is more likely to pick Lissandra for the team and like largely just get shit on in lane and then try to lock people down, which is what he did in that game that it was close for PSG versus RNG. I will grant you Bay might work well with this team, but he is just not good. And it was funny hearing the LCK guys rage about, not really rage, but like in green rooms, people talk shit differently than they will like publicly, because you don't want to like sound too different. But like they were just like telling me about Bay and like them being 10th place on Nongshim and then like going on a run when they were placing with Gory and stuff. And like here he is in an international tournament as Bay. And I don't think JoJo's insane for people in chat who seem to be thinking I'm saying like JoJo's insane. I'm not. I'm just saying like all I'm saying is Bay is not going to like be a problem for JoJo. That's all I was saying, because Bay is not very good. Bot lane as well. It was tough. This is where I'll give you a point. It was tough watching Kaiwing's Leona in that game and then watching Vulcan's Leona the next game or like the next day. That was
against
yeah. So like I do think bot lane maybe a little concern. I think but I think you know, River and Maple were so important to that team's run last split that beat C9 out. I just don't think it's the same PSG team. And I'm actually not that.
It was more important last year when they played against Cloud9, though, who had Perks and Blabber, and having Maple and River kind of counteract them certainly helped there versus like this setup where like Danny's kind of our like late game insurance card god mode when he gets all the resources later in the game, but Unified and Kaiwing now are like almost veterans in a sense with how many international tournaments they've made it to under PSG. And
I mean, I think they're good, but I also just don't think that they have a very strong, like they don't have an insane early game, or it doesn't seem like they do so far for PSG. And they ran over their region, so their like regional stats are good for that, but like internationally, I haven't seen it too much. It's been okay, I guess, against some of the lower tier teams. But
other than RNG, they were outperforming other bot lanes in their group.
Yeah, no, I meant the team as a whole. Like the whole Danny scaling point. Like, yeah, they can lose. Like they could lose lane to Kaiwing and Unified. I don't disagree with that, but I don't know if as a team they close the game out before Danny can get scaling. I think they're fine. I think you make some good points about the bot lane. The mid lane, I would say, don't worry about it. If JoJo's struggling versus Bay, I'm in deep shit, and so are all of us. And don't get me wrong, like Bay might get a kill on him and like with a gank or whatnot. No, I don't mean that, but just like I don't think it's a mid gap. If it's a mid gap,
you're not gonna be like, wow, terrified. They lost because JoJo lost to Bay. Okay.
People can clip it and ship it.
Usually like pre-phase a take, but to post-phase this, I really hope it doesn't happen because I really, really like EG, and especially like JoJo and Danny's personalities are so just they're fun, especially JoJo. Like I would hate to see him just get like completely shut out in this tournament by like everyone that mattered, everyone that wasn't Osh.
Well, that's the thing too, is you have to remember G2 is the best team in the world, so us struggling against them is really not that concerning.
So true. So true. Jake, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to the next caller?
Just my flexible job position. I was able to just bounce out on break real quick and do whatever
nice.
for this call.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.
Talk to you later, guys.
All right. Before we take the next call, Mark, I had an epiphany a little bit ago.
Okay.
The reason Riot hasn't released the schedule for the teams is because if the fans in Korea don't know when T1 is playing, then they have to be there the whole time. So you just never say when T1 is playing, so they can't only show up for that match and then peace out afterwards.
Coming up next, it's T1, and then they don't take the stage. And coming up next, it's T1. So the fans just get stuck in the arena.
No. Like they all. You never say, you actually make them play at the end of the day.
You just never say when they're showing up.
When, and so the T1 fans that come to watch in the audience are there, and they go like, oh, okay, like the next game's not T1. Oh, it's still not T1, but they have to stay there anyway. That way, you have the.
So the Busan library memes, I will say, I'm pretty sure, and I didn't want to flame Riot's production as I was on Riot's production, but I think it was just the mix was not great because on like the second to last day when I was casting, I could hear the crowd so much better, and it was like, it wasn't even T1's games, It was like, I think it was the RNG day, or it was the G2 EG day.
You don't need to see. Like the audience is empty.
Well, I mean, it's you can see that it's not. Full.
I know you're trying to play it up. If production's doing a better job, they're just pumping. They're like clipping audience from previous events. That's
maybe
LCS
that's what happened. They're like, quick, press the cheer button. Yeah, maybe.
Something big happens and they play the cheer from JoJo getting the pentakill at Baron from
I just mean like the pentakills where they were like, oh, they weren't cheering for Gala. I'm gonna have to assume it was just like the audio, because like when I was casting the G2 game and Caps had like his 1v3, I could hear the audio very loud in my ear that the crowd was popping off and stuff. And so
we were talking about JoJo earlier. It broke my mind. Okay, my whole point is that's the secret. All right, Yeshua's here. Yesshua, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Northern.
Sorry, from where?
Northern Ontario, Canada. Sorry.
Northern Ontario. I've decided that what's happening is everyone's calling in from their work computers, so everyone has a scuffed mic for this episode. Yeshua, what do you want to talk about on the show?
My hot take actually tonight is that with the new C9 roster, I think that if the synergy between Blabber and Jensen still exists, that they will win Summer and do well at Worlds, getting to at least semis or better.
This is, I think, the third or fourth week in a row where we've had somebody predict an NA team going far at Worlds. The total hotline
And
we
it
picked.
can't just be that Cloud9, this is going to help them make Worlds because they got fourth in spring. They don't have to make Worlds, but they're also going to win it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, I didn't say win Worlds. I just said that they're going to
know.
have a good showing.
Yeah.
All right. Why do you think this is going to happen, Yesshua?
I think a big problem, like Blabber didn't really pop off too much this past split, right? And he didn't have a good mid laner to work with to get to where he needed to be on the map and to pull off the plays he needed. Like Fudge was serviceable, but Fudge wasn't as good as Perks, and Fudge isn't as good as Jensen will be. Jensen might be rough for the first couple games, but if they have the ability to move together as a unit, I think they'll be able to get Sven and Berserker unlocked, and they'll just be able to take over games. And Fudge is proven to be able to be a good weak side top laner.
Okay, so let's just start with the LCS first, because we can move on to Worlds in a couple months. But how well will they do in the LCS, Mark Zimmerman?
Okay, so I think Blabber had a pretty good start to spring that people don't remember. I think obviously during that 8-0 run or whatever, they looked really good. But when the team started struggling, I agree. They didn't really have comps to fall back on, and it wasn't necessarily a good jungle meta for him to carry, if I'm trying to remember the meta correctly. So I kind of agree that like this will allow, like I think Jensen and him will combo together better than Fudge or Blabber ever seem to work. Like they never had insane synergy. And I think the way that they were playing the game was, kind of someone has his picks or whatever, and either that wins or we do other random stuff. I was not particularly impressed by C9 at the end of the split either. So, I see this as being better because I think it almost has to be. Not like I think C9 was terrible. They still beat what was it, Golden Guardians, but I think whereas that team would be just a top 5 team at the end of spring after people started figuring them out a little bit more, as opposed to like what they look like being number 1 seed. I could see the team actually being a lot better. Fudge back to top lane being weak side. I think he also showed that he can play strong side at like MSI last year and later on in summer. So he just has like more flexibility, even if he's not quite, even when he is strong side, he's not as crazy as Summit was. He also hopefully shouldn't need to be. The only question is like kind of the whole bot lane stuff still, and if Jensen will be in that form as soon as he starts. But like in theory, I agree.
I think in theory, but I don't think that it's probably going to work out that way. I think Jensen might have a lot of, I don't know. The big question is, how are they going to look at the end of the split?
Yeah.
And this is really tough. Part of me wants to doubt. I'm going to go negative and negative here. Part of me wants to doubt Sven and Jensen being able to come back against, a bunch of other players who have been playing for quite some time and teams that have been sorting their stuff out and all that, and work really well. On the other hand, I think there's an argument that can be made that maybe the LCS is actually kind of weak right now. Like we have a floundering 100T kind of. We have Team Liquid, who I think people used Team Liquid as like the measuring bar against what all the other teams were held against, I think, this split. Especially towards the end. Because theoretically, Team Liquid's supposed to be really good. And so if Team Liquid is struggling, then that means that, like, wow, 100T, they're back on top, and you've got EG looking really good because they won and all that stuff. But if the premise is actually, well, Team Liquid's not that good, then maybe that means nobody else is that good, and so C9 should be able to vault this bar. And so it's hard for me to say because I feel like I don't know what's going to be worse, the other LCS teams or Jensen and Sven. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
That's a very negative way to put it, but I don't think you're that far off where it's like, I think 100 Thieves is largely fine. I think that they'll probably continue the storyline from spring where like they don't look insano, but they also struggle a little bit. They did have an insane win streak at the end, but even during that win streak, they were struggling. I'm a little concerned for them. I think Team Liquid will be okay. And I think EG will maintain this form, maybe minus like the MSI hangover. So I still think it is difficult for Cloud9 to find their way in. They have to bump one of those 3 teams. But it's also not that hard to Travis's point. Like, yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just saying, like, it's an uphill battle, but it's not like that hard.
I'm a little worried for EG.
You think they're a flash in the pan?
No, not necessarily, but I do think that, like, let's say they don't get out of Rumble. Like Vulcan, so I did this interview with Vulcan, and people can go check it out. And he was like talking about how what he's trying to do is like make sure that the team is okay, because he's like, you know, this is one tournament and and this was like after their first 3 days, right? And so I think he's a little worried about a collapse for the team. And I'm not saying like, oh, they're going boom behind the scenes or something like that, right? But like, I think EG worked really well in playoffs because they had this like level of confidence. Like they just had this level of swagger where they came out after the Rift and they did all this stuff and they did all this just very aggressive play style that I worry that they could lose some of that if they lose their confidence at MSI, and things could get a little messy for them. And if they come back and they continue to lose, you know what I mean? Because they have like the MSI hangout over that everybody gets. I don't know. I'm a little worried for EG. It's a hotline league or Reddit take to be projecting this far out, but I could definitely see them struggling for a long time, potentially after MSI if things get really bad. So I don't know. It's really tough to say with C9. Because I think it is weird because they're basically building... It feels like they're basically building what should have been their spring split team right now. And it's like, what does that mean for this team starting in summer?
Yeah, I mean, they have more ground to make up as a whole because you're replacing... Even if Fudge was on the team before, like he's going to be top lane now and all that. So
yeah, I mean, it's basically like this is the type of rebuild you do between summer and spring, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's sus, but like you said, it's not like 100 Thieves kind of look. I mean, they were in the finals. I think people are a little negative on 100 Thieves. They were in the finals and they clearly laid an egg. They kind of laid an egg against TL until they started playing well. They seem like a team that just sometimes underperform. Maybe they'll do that all of summer too. Maybe. I guess it's possible, but I think they should be fine. They should be fine.
Yesshua, thanks for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Just shout out to you guys. I love the show. I watch all the time. And Alienware and Grubhub, and I hope you can get the codes working in Canada soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll catch you next time. Awesome. All right. That is the show. Mark Zimmerman.
That's it.
Am I going to walk a COVID test over to you?
I think so. Am I going to walk over to you, or are you walking it over to me?
We'll meet in the middle.
What if you just throw it off your balcony in the middle of the street and I'll pick it up?
And we can do that. Thanks for doxing me. Now people know I have a balcony.
Oh, shit. There's not many of those in Los Angeles. Right. No, Resin Refresh is not after this. I don't know what the Resin Refresh plan is.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it. Part of the problem is there's literally nothing to talk about. What I should be doing, or what we should be doing, is finding a guest to have on and then just making the show about them. But
all right, go do that. That sounds good. Good plan.
Yeah, it's been tough with MSI going and all that stuff. So, no, Resin Refresh is not canceled forever. It's just really, really tough whenever like the game is frozen in time.
Yeah.
as in the same way that my characters are frozen in my teapot.
All right, no one cares about this. End the show.
What? Okay, wait. What do we got coming out this week? Two blame games?
So I have 2 blame games. One is about EG, obviously. It's really hard to blame any of the other teams. Like basically, the pool 1 and pool 2 seeds got out, and it's kind of hard to blame any of them. So it's just gonna be about EG. It might be a little shorter because, like while there were a lot of games, like they all kind of. It's actually funny where like it's easier to make a hyper specific analytical thing on a single game than over 4 games.
Yeah.
Because then they just become trends. And so like, I don't know. Either way, I'll be doing one of those, and I'll be doing a one on the bracket as well, and format and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're looking for somebody to blame or something to blame for MSI so far, I feel like Riot Games is a pretty big target. All right, that's the show, everybody. Thanks for sticking through. I appreciate everybody that shows up in the middle of a Tuesday. I can't look at the schedule on lollysports.com, but I think we might do another Tuesday episode next week because I think there are games happening that like it makes more sense to do it after the end of the Rumble stage, and I think there's an extra day after. So I don't know. Stay tuned. Apologies for all the mixed up times, but anything you want to shout out, Mark?
Nope. Shout out my cat who just woke up. Yoko wants attention, little baby boy.
Oh my god. All right. Anyway, thanks everyone. We'll catch you next time.
I miss you.